Well, hello, everyone. Here we are for the post show.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Perry. I'm one of the pastors here, and we're joined by
Andy?
Elizabeth.
And Steve.
another one of the pastors
Whoop,
here. So, how was your guys' week?
Pretty good. Yours? Yeah. We already covered this on
Yeah.
the pre-show. Sorry, Perry.
You guys discussed. How's your week?
How was
All
your
right,
week?
Perry.
Some of us have to work, on Sunday mornings.
Yeah,
Jeez.
one day a week.
Yeah.
We were.
Yeah. Well, my
We
week was
work.
great since you guys already shared how your week was on
Yeah.
the post show.
Go back and watch it.
Pre-show.
But the pre-show. But pretty busy. I did make a poor life choice last night. We invited 3 8th grade boys to stay in the night with us, and they were
idea.
up very late, and they were very loud.
Yep.
So that was
And probably stinky, too, because they're 8th grade boys.
Oh yes. But so I didn't get as much sleep as I normally do. So
Did you do that when you were 8th grade? I remember going all the time over to friends' house.
Oh, I was never home.
yeah.
I was always at friends' houses, or we had friends over occasionally, but it was always like...
What was
go
the
to-
most amount of friends you ever had over? Like
Like a sports team. We did our basketball team one time, so there was like 12 of us kids down
so
the
there you
basement.
go. It could have been worse.
Way worse.
Yeah, I'm never inviting 12.
crazy.
I think we
No.
should.
into
I
my
think we
house.
should invite all of
All of 8th
Perry's
grade
friends,
boys
Perry's
at
boys' friends.
Vicksburg Middle School this Saturday. Spend the night at the
Not gonna
Hosteller's
happen.
house.
But they
Address
all
in the
are invited
comments.
to Reverb,
Yes, they are.
which is coming up in November. So check that out
Yep.
on
Pay
our
attention to
events
socials.
tab, November 1st and 2nd.
Look at you go.
So
And you're wearing
can
a youth
do-
group shirt.
That's right.
Good job, Pear Bear.
CYM, you can do an all-nighter there, and you don't even have to sleep.
Yeah.
I won't be sleeping either.
Nope.
Andy
you
won't be
get-
sleeping. Elizabeth won't be sleeping. Maybe
No.
we'll even get Steve to come.
No, that's not
No.
going to happen. Do you guys get grumpy though? Like, at what point of the night
No.
are you like, "This is it. Like, I'm done with this"?
No. The only time that we get grumpy is maybe when a couple tries to sneak away or something like
And we
that.
have to
make
go.
out?
Yeah, to go make
and
out.
then we have to
Come
leave
on,
what
man.
we're doing. And
you know you're
like,
not supposed to be over there. Stop holding hands.
Hand
no
check.
purple. Stuff like that. Because pink and blue apparently makes purple.
I guess
That's what they say. Yeah.
That's what they say.
That is what they say.
That's what they say. Well, with all that
This is
said,
off the rails.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
hey,
We're
yeah.
going to talk about the
mentor-
birds
yeah.
and the bees. today.
what's fantastic is our iPad
Yeah.
is reconnecting. So, but we know the first question. What stood out today from today's message?
I need my notes. I never have them pulled up. Every week,
Guys,
I do.
it's like the same first question every time.
Honestly, what stood
You
out?
know
You
what?
guys are veterans.
Honestly, what stood out to me is what sat out during the message, and I was like, I don't want Dave to fall, but also I'm like, if he fell, I'd laugh as long as he was okay.
Oh my
one of those
gosh,
things. If he got up and he's fine, I'd be like, that was funny.
He did say, if I do fall, it's okay.
Yeah.
It'll just be funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else?
Oh, I'll go. I have
Good.
my notes now. Mine. Don't cheat.
It's just notes. Sorry.
You
These
can't
two have been
cheat on
having
your
some problems
answer.
lately.
I know, it's why we put them on the same couch together.
Yeah.
He
Bad
smells
idea.
bad.
We need them to work these things out.
I think you're smelling your breath off the microphone, but anyway. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I love you.
That was disgusting.
I know it was. Go.
Okay. Mine was, when he started talking about like the different like keys and how like every kid and every person needs a spiritual mentor. But I have never felt like, oh, I can be a spiritual mentor. Like, I'm 21 years old. I don't have almost anything figured out. Like, I can't do that. But then he said, oh my gosh, I lost it. Oh, if you are saved, you already know enough to start mentoring. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
Got it.
Got
I guess I have to be a
it.
mentor.
No, I think that's a good point though,
Yeah.
because I know for a lot of people, there's this idea that, man, once I cross whatever
Yeah.
line, then I'll finally get it, or once I get to this age, then I'll actually be an adult. And for all of you 21-year-olds and people who don't feel like they're capable because of age or whatever it is, just know that even when you're in your mid to late 40s, you still feel like maybe when I grow up, I'll figure this out.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
and that there's always somebody that will look up to you. It's one of those things that, just because you're 21, I mean, how many little kids have you mentored without really mentoring? You just on a weekly basis here. So yeah, it's one of those things that when you really step back and think about it, you're like, yeah, I am capable of this. It's just getting over that in your own head of like, I don't know enough, or I haven't lived enough. I haven't done. It doesn't matter as long as you've given your life to Jesus. You can mentor. You can be somebody's spiritual mentor.
I like it. Well, that leads actually into one of our questions really well. If you have ever mentored someone, how did you get started?
By happenstance, just volunteering around here, volunteering at church, and like walking around.
Wait. So like you just happened to walk into a volunteer opportunity? Like it just happened?
Somebody asked me. And
He just showed up.
but I'm saying the actual mentorship was by happenstance. Like,
oh, okay.
I was here volunteering, carrying stuff, and then I look back, and this kid was like pretending to be my shadow for some reason.
Oh, nice.
And then
Dumb kid.
he kept following me around week after week. So we just started talking and stuff like that. So it just kind of by happenstance. It wasn't you. I would never mentor you. You're the most annoying person I know.
Man, I don't think we're going to get this worked out by the end of this show.
I don't know, but at least it'll be entertaining.
Yes, that's true. Well, that is probably fairly unique.
Yeah.
But it could just happen that way, where you just
Well,
have that
I don't
tag
know if
along.
it's necessarily unique because I think the first step that he did was like, I need to get involved, and he started volunteering.
Yep.
And I think that's the key to a lot of this is actually putting yourself out there and taking that first step of saying, I'm going to actually jump in. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do something, and I don't know how this is going to look. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. And a lot of times you develop those mentees that way of man, maybe there's some kid that just for whatever reason latches onto you, and you don't really realize it, but you can be that mentor for kids by just taking that initial step. And I love that Dave challenged us in that way, and we've been challenged over the past several weeks is, man, if you're feeling called to step up and just take that first step, do it, because there's so many people of this rising generation that just need somebody to care for them and just need somebody to be there. And sometimes just being there is that first natural step.
Yeah. That's true. How about the rest of you guys? If you've ever mentored someone, how did you get started doing that?
I don't know if I have.
Yes, you currently are mentoring
Currently are. Oh, you
some people.
group? Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, we guarantee you are.
Yeah, how did you get plugged into that? How did you start that?
Andy told me to.
See, Andy, you did mentor her.
Yes.
Whether she likes it or not,
I
you
win.
gave her a suggestion.
You're welcome. You're where you're at today because of me.
So someone
On
else
this couch.
asked you to get involved as a mentor, as a youth leader.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what you do.
What I did.
With the youth.
With the youth?
Yeah.
Well, I do what I do every Sunday. I do all the social media stuff and all that. I make them do TikToks. It's great.
And they all love it. They might pitch a fit at first. Some of them are like, I don't want to do it. But as soon as you get
All
started.
of the girls love it. The guys, not so much. But I get some of them to do it. It's great.
Maybe you should show up at Perry's house on a Saturday night when all
next
these middle
Saturday
school
when the
boys-
entire 8th grade boys are there.
I think we have another group of kids coming in a couple weeks. Younger kids.
Like Micah's friends?
Maybe Mike. I can't remember if it was Micah or Landon's. So they're either 5th grade or 6th grade boys. I'm not sure which.
Perfect.
Yeah.
better.
Even better.
Yeah. But what else do you do? What else do you do in youth group?
In youth group,
Yeah.
I am the 6th and 7th grade girls leader with
Small
Stella.
group leader. There you go.
Small group
And what do you
leader.
guys do in those small groups?
We talk.
About what?
Well,
It's really fishing, Perry.
Man, I'm trying to
we
help her
talk
out.
about all sorts of things. We just talk about life, but then
Yep.
also attempt to talk more about what we talked about in the sermon or the real stuff. But
There you go.
it doesn't. It's always sometimes a little you're just there to listen
Yeah.
about the random stuff. We get on tangents about
For
the
sure.
weirdest things.
For
No,
sure.
that's perfect. If
But
you
I
get
learn
kids
a lot.
talking, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a huge point that oftentimes adults get intimidated about. Well, how am I going to mentor these kids? Like, I'm not a biblical scholar. A lot of times, you're not, you don't even need to be a biblical scholar.
Yeah.
To Dave's point, you're saved. You know the truth of the gospel, the good news of Jesus. And 90% of the time, you're actually not even going to be talking about that. You're just going to be talking about what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
That you're going to be talking about what they're going through. And, but you get to sprinkle in, you know, well, what would Jesus think about that? How has Jesus asked us to live that way? And so there are so many great opportunities, and you're doing one of them. I think that's awesome.
I think Dave brought that up as a big point of being a mentor is, man, people aren't looking for your lecture or
for sure.
or like to be preached at. What they're looking for is your example. And a lot of our life experience can be shared to them through stories and through just living it with them. And I think that's a big key point is not being intimidated to say, I need to know everything about the Bible. How about you just share your life with them? How about you just start opening up and walking them through some of the steps that you went through? I think a lot of people will connect with that.
Yeah. Steve, how'd you get started with mentoring people?
It's hard to say. I think the reality is after high school and when I was in college, I got brought into Young Life to help start playing music, and I think that was the real first step for me in knowing that I could have an impact on people, even though these were seen as almost like peers. Because at that point, when you're 18, 19 years old, you know, seniors and juniors in high school, they're not really that far off from you. But I think that was a real critical moment in my life of understanding that I can step out and I can actually do something with this. And that kind of sparked an interest in me to get more involved. And it started kind of a path for me into ministry. Kind of a long journey to get there, but I think it was that initial investment somebody made. Hey, you have a skill maybe we can use, and we're going to see where it goes. So it wasn't even about being a mentor at that time. It wasn't even about, you know, hey, you know a lot about the Bible, because I didn't really. I knew how to play the guitar, and I knew that I could use that to impact somebody. So sometimes it's those little skills or things that you don't see as significant that can make a big difference.
For sure. Yeah, I think for me, I kind of was thrust into that position naturally to some extent, where my brother, for example, is 9 years younger than I am. So when he was young, I became a mentor to him without even choosing to be. I was just so much older. It was almost like an uncle-nephew relationship rather than a brother relationship. And so there was that. And then there was these other kids at school, and I was a pastor's kid. And so I was, you know, pastor's kids, they go one or two ways. They either become like big rebels, or they tend to keep their nose clean. Well, I kept my nose fairly clean once I got into middle school and high school, and it seemed like I had a lot of people just asking me questions about the Bible or about spiritual things or about life. And so it happened kind of naturally for me initially, but it wasn't until college where I really felt like that was something that I could do, that people were encouraging me to do, similar to you, where they're like, where they're like, hey, and you actually, hey, we think you could maybe do this. And so then I started really kind of diving in when I was in college, for sure. Yeah. But with that said, I'd like you to kind of think of your own life and share a time where you were able to learn from the life of a mentor by their example.
Well, I had a mentor just really started pouring into my life after my wife and I got married and we started having kids. We decided we were going to really find a church of our own and like start kind of our family, right, in a new kind of a fresh beginning. And so we started going to this small church, and there was a guy there. His name was Jerry Martin. And for whatever reason, Jerry just had a real passion to pour into people. And we clicked right away. And we started meeting together and just having breakfast or having coffee, and we just, for whatever reason, we just developed this friendship. And this is a guy, he was, oh man, I was early 20s and he would have been probably in his like maybe early 50s at the time. And so there was a big age gap, a big generation gap. And so I truly viewed him as a mentor. Like, this is a guy who lived life. This is a guy who has a lot of experience. He can pour into me. And it really just started with coffee, and it started with breakfast, and it started with him just asking questions. And this guy didn't go to seminary. This guy wasn't he wasn't a pastor. He was just a guy who cared. And it was really through him. I would say if there's any one person outside of my immediate family, growing up, that had the biggest life impact for me, it was this guy. He's the reason why I got into full-time ministry. He's the reason why so many amazing things kind of got started and have developed for me. So, it's hard to share just like a time, because it was every time. It was every time that we met. Yeah. There was something about it, and there was like a persistence on his part to want to pour into me.
And I think that's a sign of a great mentor.
Oh, for sure.
You're meeting with him on a regular basis, and he made an impact on you almost every single time. That's amazing. If we could all be so lucky to have mentors like that all the time, that'd be fantastic. How about you guys? Can you think of any examples of where you had a mentor that made a difference in your life because of how they lived, what you saw from them?
I think for me, I don't think it's just one person. I think I was lucky enough to be surrounded by so many people. But I feel like some of the first people that come to mind, not even just from like, more of just me like watching and like witnessing their life as I grew up, but then also like being there for me just like as a human, like just like coming to my things or supporting me. Like, I feel like Brenda Woolheis, like, immediately was one of my people from the second that we started, like, spending time with their family. And I don't think she has ever really left that spot in my life, and it's been 11 years now. And I think just having, like, we don't get coffee or meat, or, like, she doesn't do anything, like, out of like just being like, oh, we'll get coffee every day this day, but it's just like the consistent like checking on me, or like every Sunday I see her, and then we will do like random things, but it's just like to have someone who's just like always like right there in your corner, like just checking on you, but then also like giving you advice when you need it. Like, she's just, to have like those people in your life is like really.
Isn't that cool? Like seeing totally different types of mentors there.
Yeah.
Like your mentor, Steve, was very consistent. It was kind of this like, hey, we're going to meet, we're going to do these things. We're going to, not rigid, but you had a schedule to some extent.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was, what was funny about Jerry is, it was like, we would try to consistently get breakfast, but every once in a while he'd be like, hey, let's go to the gym. And at the gym we'd go to, it was like a community center. One of his favorite things was going and sitting in the steam room, which is really awkward when you're like this dude and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to put on my little towel and we're going to go and sit in the steam room together
and talk about life.
Yeah, and talk about life. But it got to the point where like we had that relationship that was so intimate on such a personal level that it was just not weird. Like we could go and do things and share life in such a cool way.
That's awesome. And then your situation, Elizabeth, was very unstructured.
Yeah.
But Brenda took intention to follow up there with you and be there for you. Yeah. So like two really good pictures of that. Yeah. All right. One last question. This is another share your story opportunity. Share a story where someone successfully prepared you for a future experience, or share an experience you wish someone would have prepared you, but you didn't have that person that did that. So it could be a good thing or a bad one.
These questions are ones that you gotta like give
Yeah.
like 24 hours in advance
Yeah.
to like think about. Like I
never thought
don't
I'd say this,
know.
but I kind of miss Dave's questions.
Yeah, I'm
Days are
making you
just-
share
make it
something
think.
about your life so that people here can see the
Yeah.
value of mentorship. So, for example, all right, I have had certain mentors come into my life and prepare me for so many different things, but specifically, the pastor at my previous church, he continually would mentor me and prepare me on how to teach. On a Sunday morning, how to lead people, and he would give me opportunities to do that, and then he'd follow up with me and say, "All right, I do it this way. I would change this, or you did a really great job here." And I feel like he has prepared me to kind of be able to do what I do here as a pastor today, and that's just one guy. And so I don't think that I would be a pastor if not for people like him, who could be there and mentor me today. I could talk about coaches, that were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I see something in you, and I think you should be the captain of the team." And if they didn't give me that opportunity to lead, and then follow up with me at times to be like, "Hey, as a captain, I need you to do these things."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so that's what it means to be a leader, not just this, "Hey, I'm a captain" kind of thing, And so I had those people. How about you guys? What is an opportunity where you had someone like that? Or again, is there a time where you're like, "Man, if I wish I would have had someone that prepared me for this"?
Sure, I got one for you. At my old job, there was a guy named Claire Stevens. He was a manager, not mine, but in a different department, but I knew him. And I interviewed for a job and got terrible interview feedback. He heard about it, came over to me and goes, "I think you got what it takes." And he mentored me on interviewing, but also just work and other things. And we'd have lunch together, this or that. And when I went for, subsequent interviews after, he grilled. I mean, did not take it easy on me whatsoever. If something he didn't feel was up to snuff, he'd tell me right away. He goes, "That answer's terrible." I'm like, "Thanks, appreciate it."
Yeah.
But that helped, because then when you go into, I'm like, any other question after that was like, "Man, everybody else is so much nicer than Claire." So it's like, these aren't even bad at all. And then after I got the next job, he would kind of follow up and say, "What do you think you're going to do next?" So he acted like that for me at my previous job. And when I went to where I'm at now, I took a lot of those things I learned from him, and it's blessed me in many ways. So,
Sure. How about you guys? You got anything?
Yeah, I definitely had an experience where I wish somebody would have prepared me better for. If you don't know, I served in the United States Air Force for 4 years. This was back in 2001. I was going through the preparation to get sent off to boot camp, and you have a recruiter, and your recruiter's job is to just get as many people as possible. That's really their purpose.
Yep.
But they also are set up to kind of like instruct you and kind of prep you and get you ready for boot camp. And I'm telling you, man, like, he gave me some information, but I wish there was somebody who had gone through that experience and like really could have helped get me mentally ready. Physically, I felt ready. I was good to go. Like I was running a lot. I was doing all the push-ups, sit-ups, all that kind of stuff. But it's the mental grind I was not ready for. So it was definitely one of those experiences where there was somebody there who was supposed to be the mentor, supposed to be somebody who set you up for success. And I mean, he was a nice guy, but he just didn't give me what I needed. Because when you hit the ground and it's boot camp and you got drill sergeants in your face screaming and spitting and yelling, and man, there's something that I definitely could have used some more prep for. So, which is, I don't know. It's a good example of knowing that sometimes there can be that person who wants to be or thinks that they're that mentor, but they're not really giving you what you need. Yeah, I just wish I had a little more preparation for that.
Sure.
But I made it through. I was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, life experiences, are oftentimes a great mentor as well. But yeah, there are definitely those times where it's like, man, if only I had someone who could have prepared me for this. But yeah. Anybody else have any stories to share?
I feel like the first one that comes to mind is very similar to what you were talking about, Perry, as in just like having someone who really poured into my life when I was in high school. Was the director of all the musicals that I was in, and now from my freshman year, she was like, "Oh, you can do something similar. Like I want to work with you." And since my freshman year, I started choreographing the middle school musicals, and then a couple years ago, she's like, "Okay, but you could also direct this thing." And so then I was just doing like all of it. And now her and I are working on the high school show, so it's like a big full circle moment back to where it all kind of started. But I mean, if she hadn't like really taken the time to tell me that it would be something that I was good at, but then also like as we were going through the process, be there to support me. I mean, I would not be doing this musical now, so
Right.
That's a great example of somebody who saw something in somebody, gave them the opportunity, even allowed them maybe to make mistakes or fail, but to be there to support when needed, and kind of grew that, and now you have bigger and better opportunities.
yeah.
Yep.
So cool. Well, the thing is that what we try to do here at our church is to provide opportunities to be mentored in so many different ways. That's why we have our connection groups. Those leaders are there to help mentor people. It's why we have youth leaders, and we have teachers and helpers in the kids' classrooms. We have pastors who are on staff. We have leaders within our ministries. And every single thing that we do here, it seems like we're trying to help set people up to be mentored, whether it be in a skill or spiritually to grow closer to Jesus. And so, man, if you are looking to be mentored and you don't have anybody yet, please contact us. We have a lot of ways for you to do that. My3c.org, best place to go, or our app. You can go fill out a connect card and connect with us there. We would love to be able to help you in any way that we can. And if you have any questions about today's message or anything at all spiritually, about the Bible, about life, we would love to be able to answer those questions as a way to help mentor you. And you can do that anonymously on our website. But if you want to be followed up with, just a reminder, don't do it on the anonymous question form. All right. You've got to fill out a connect card for that, because we won't know who to follow up with. And that has definitely happened before. So with all that said, thank you all so much for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you all again next week. We'll see you all later.